Indigenous. Long before European contact, Indigenous peoples constructed shelters adapted to local environments. On the West Coast, First Nations built cedar plank longhouses with massive timbers and intricately carved totem poles. In the Plains, many communities used teepees of hides over wooden frames, easily moved to follow bison herds. Inuit in the far north fashioned igloos from compacted snow blocks, trapping heat in sub-zero conditions. Each design reflects a deep link between resources and climate. New France. French settlers along the St. Lawrence River built thick-walled maisons québécoises in stone or heavy timber, featuring steep roofs for snow and small windows to conserve heat. Interiors centered on a hearth under low ceilings with exposed beams. Sometimes a rear slope mimicked a saltbox form, but traced back to French traditions. These sturdy houses united Old World methods with colonial conditions. Maritime Saltbox. In coastal fishing towns of Nova Scotia, PEI, and Newfoundland, settlers brought saltbox and Cape Cod blueprints from New England, then adapted them to Atlantic storms. Interiors commonly had low ceilings to trap heat, while corner fireplaces gave respite from howling gales. Brightly painted exteriors became a quirk in many fishing villages, both for aesthetic cheer and for easier visibility from the sea in thick fog. Loyalist Vernacular. After the American Revolution, British Loyalists came to Ontario, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, erecting simple wood or brick homes, typically 1.5 stories tall. A central front door and minimal ornament defined exteriors. Subtle neoclassical flourishes like transom windows appeared over time, while verandas and shutters helped adapt British design to the Canadian climate. Georgian and Regency. In growing port cities like Halifax or Montreal, wealthier Canadians favored formal homes shaped by British Georgian or Regency ideals. Facades stayed symmetrical, with multi-paned sash windows and masonry exteriors. Interiors gained higher ceilings, symmetrical layouts, and modest ornamentation. Later additions like sun porches helped in summer heat. Country homestead. In remote farmland or western plains, long, low homesteads used wide verandas and breezeways to handle hot summers and cold winters. Interiors were spacious yet plain, with large communal living areas and minimal decorative flourishes. Though strongly identified with Australia's outback, Canada has parallels in older ranch-like or farmstead homes on the prairies. Stone farmhouse. In some rural or small-town settings, farmers built houses of fieldstone or bluestone, creating thick walls with small windows. Interiors might expose the stone or plaster over it, with wooden beams. Though not a formal style name, these stone-built farmhouses add a historic heritage flavor in parts of Ontario or the Maritimes. Ontario cottage. A distinct Ontario subtype. A rectangular, 1.5-story structure with a central front door flanked by windows. Some show a small gable or dormer above that door. Interiors emphasize a front parlor and simple rear kitchen. This design bridged older Loyalist layouts and later Victorian detail, reflecting local tastes. Victorian. Industrial expansion led to ornate Victorian forms. Gothic Revival had pointed arches, Italianate bracketed eaves, Second Empire mansard roofs. Rowhouses in cities boasted stained glass, carved wood trim, and cast iron details. Interiors featured tall ceilings, decorative plaster, bay windows, and ornate fireplaces, mirroring the era's grand style. Châteauesque. Unusual for everyday houses, Châteauesque rose to fame in Canada through grand railway hotels like Château Frontenac. Inspired by French Renaissance chateaux, it features steep roofs, turrets, and elaborate dormers. Interiors often boast sweeping staircases and lavish ornament, blending English and French influences. Though rare for single-family homes, this style remains a hallmark of Canadian heritage at landmark hotels. Quebec urban cottages. In Montreal and beyond, working-class cottages or row houses used local stone, steep tin roofs, and exterior spiral staircases to upper flats. Interiors were compact, sometimes housing multiple families. Balconies and stairs made streets lively social spots, shaping neighborhood life. Prairie farmhouses. Homesteaders crossing the prairies often had to deal with relentless wind and extreme temperature swings. Sparse wood supplies sometimes forced them to improvise with sod or local stone before sawmills arrived. Cultural context varied too. Ukrainian or German immigrants might add distinctive folk art to doors or shutters. Over time, a sense of wide open space came through in simpler house designs, bridging communal family living and the solitary frontier lifestyle. Edwardian. Bridging late Victorian and interwar design, Edwardian homes toned down ornate detailing, yet retained bay windows and moderate plaster trim. Interiors often included smaller fireplaces and simpler ceilings. Found near city centers, this style softened Victorian flourish as it leaned toward modern practicality. Canadian Square. Inspired by the American Foursquare, Canadian versions used brick or wood siding, forming a two-story box with a hipped roof. Interiors generally had 4 rooms on each floor, plus a wide front porch. This sturdy style connected Victorian embellishments and craftsman influence, fitting middle-class families in smaller cities. Semi-detached, duplex, triplex. Distinct from single-family homes, these multi-unit dwellings share at least one wall or floor. Semi-detached means 2 side-by-side units, while duplex or triplex stack units vertically. Common in cities like Montreal, they balance higher density with a house-like feel. Interiors might split each floor into separate flats or share certain areas. Victorian rowhouses. Though similar era to other Victorian builds, many major cities like Toronto or Halifax had entire terraces of attached homes. Toronto's bay and gable style displayed steep gables and projecting bay windows, while Montreal's used stone exteriors with wrought iron balconies. Interiors were tall and narrow, often subdivided later. These tight-knit homes reflected rising urban density. Craftsman Bungalow. Canadian suburbs embraced craftsman bungalows with low-pitched roofs, wide porches, and exposed rafters, adapted from the U.S. Interiors might show built-in shelving, stained glass sidelights, and open dining living spaces. British Columbia favored cedar siding and deep eaves for heavy rain. These cozy, human-scale homes grew quickly in popularity. Art Deco. In Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, some houses or apartment blocks showed curving corners, zigzag ornament, or stucco exteriors reflecting machine-age optimism. Interiors might include streamlined kitchens, pastel bathrooms, or chrome fittings. Though overshadowed by bungalows and war-era builds, these add a dash of 1930s glamour in specific neighborhoods. Prairie. Influenced by Frank Lloyd Wright, a few architects in Alberta or Saskatchewan built low-slung homes emphasizing horizontal lines echoing the plains. Interiors integrated built-in furniture, decorative glass, and broad windows. Though fewer than in the U.S., Prairie style retains a modest mid-century niche in Canada's central provinces. Postwar Suburban. After World War II, housing shortages sparked large suburban developments. Bungalows or side-split designs, often brick veneer or asbestos siding, catered to returning veterans. Interiors prioritized small kitchens, living rooms, and bedrooms in a straightforward layout. This era's wide streets and car-centric planning ushered in Canada's modern suburban life. West Coast Modern. Architects such as Arthur Erickson married international modernism with the breathtaking scenery of BC's mountains and ocean inlets. Homes embraced huge windows and open floor plans to capture forest or ocean vistas. A mild coastal climate allowed for expansive decks and minimal barriers between inside and out. This modern approach also suited the region's laid-back cultural mindset, attracting creative communities seeking harmony with the Pacific environment. Ranch. Borrowed from the U.S., ranch houses in Canada typically feature one-story layouts, elongated footprints, and attached garages. Interiors combined kitchen, dining, and living spaces for casual flow. Though overshadowed by bungalows in earlier Canadian suburbs, ranches still draw those seeking single-level convenience, especially in neighborhoods where land is more plentiful. Vancouver Special. A regional staple in Vancouver, the Special is a two-story rectangle with a low-pitched roof and prominent front balcony. Stucco or brick exteriors kept costs down, while interiors placed main living spaces upstairs, often renting out the lower floor. Critics of the plain exteriors disagreed with fans who admired their budget-friendly density on narrow city lots. Neo-Victorian. Suburban builders revived Victorian or Edwardian exteriors, adding turrets, lacework, or bay windows. Interiors might have angled kitchens, open family areas, or a front parlor. Though some found the nostalgic look charming, others considered it superficial. Regardless, these builds influenced many late 20th century suburbs with their backward glance to earlier aesthetics. McMansions. Volume builders produced large, multi-gabled houses, mixing references from French chateaux to Tuscan villas. Interiors boasted two-story foyers, sprawling master suites, and multiple living areas, reflecting consumer-driven emphasis on space. Critics pointed to mismatched motifs and excessive footprints, while owners appreciated the prestige and roominess. Contemporary eco. Environmental concerns inspired custom homes with triple-glazed windows, solar orientation, and low-impact materials like reclaimed timber or straw bales. Interiors favor open plans, high ceilings, and abundant natural light. Architects may add living roofs, water recycling, or advanced insulation, fitting modern green goals to Canada's diverse climate. Tiny and Laneway. Skyrocketing real estate prices in major cities spurred demand for creative housing forms like laneway suites or tiny homes. Beyond affordability, these dwellings resonate with eco-conscious values, smaller footprints, clever storage, and potential for solar or off-grid living. Culturally, they reflect a shift from sprawling suburbs toward walkable neighborhoods and sustainable minimalism, appealing to young professionals and downsizers alike. Infill Revival. In older neighborhoods, single large lots get subdivided for multiple row houses or modern townhomes. Designers rely on bold contemporary lines, broad windows, and eco-friendly features while keeping consistent heights or materials with historical streetscapes. Interiors incorporate open living dining areas and advanced heating or solar-based systems, blending modern style with heritage settings. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Are there some styles I missed? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, which country would you like to see next?